Hey guys, welcome back to this tutorial of the Padawan wallet app. This app covers the basics of a Bitcoin wallet using the Bitcoin Testnet. And in this tutorial episode, we're going to show you how to use it, how to send and receive Bitcoin, the different units that are involved, some fundamentals of Bitcoin private key management, the mempool, different types of wallets, transaction fees, and more. So whether you're a seasoned Bitcoin user or just getting started, this is a great tutorial for you. Stick around. All right. Well, let's dive in. So this is the Padawan wallet app, and we're on the learning tab. You can see here there's the wallet. I've already got some test transactions done. There's a learning tab here and the menu. So we're going to go in the learning tab here and start chapter 1, section 1. What is the Bitcoin testnet? Well, it's a network used for testing. It's similar to the Bitcoin network. It's got the same rules, but the rules are different in that it's a separate blockchain and they are not compatible with one another. And this is used in contrast to the mainnet so that you can experiment on Bitcoin and use it without risking your real funds, right? So the testnet coins, like we'll be using today in Padawan, can be acquired from faucets, and they are still, I would say, harder. They're getting harder to find. You used to be able to get real Bitcoin out of faucets, but not any longer. But we will be using the testnet Bitcoin today, and Padawan makes it really easy to get testnet Bitcoin. Section 1, Chapter 2. Receiving Bitcoin. So to receive Bitcoin, you need a software that'll generate a Bitcoin address. And you can generate this usually by just hitting a receive button or deposit, depending on the wallet software you're using. In the Padawan wallet, there's a new address button. You'll be able to provide this over to the receiver or the sender, and this sender can either have one of two ways. They can either usually QR code scan or copy paste. The idea is that you don't want to reuse addresses. And so once the address has been used by a previous transaction, most good wallet software will automatically give you a new address. Also keep in mind, good wallet software will highlight the first 5 and last 5 characters. Your private key that controls this address is not necessarily tied to the software that you created it from. And that is the beauty of open source standards like Bitcoin. Keep in mind, too, that the new Bitcoin addresses will typically start with a BC1, where testnet addresses will start with a T, TB. And so you can identify that, it's a testnet address in that case. So that's how you receive Bitcoin. It's quite easy. Next, we'll go into sending. Section 1, Chapter 3, Sending Bitcoin. One cannot send what they don't have. So make sure you've already got some Bitcoin in your wallet. You can hit the send tab in most wallets. It's all usually pretty much the same. Most wallets will calculate the transaction fee and deduct it. If you, depending on how you construct it, will determine whether it's just one input or multiple inputs. When you send a transaction, you're actually broadcasting the signed transaction that you used with your private key to your mempool or a mempool, the mempool, it's often referred to as. And this is then where a miner will confirm it. Next section is the mempool. Section 2, Chapter 4. What is the mempool? This is a list of unconfirmed Bitcoin transactions that are waiting essentially to be in queue in the Bitcoin blockchain. And when you broadcast your transaction, it enters the mempool and gossips from one node to the other and quickly propagates throughout the network to then be on the list for transactions to be confirmed. You can think of it like a bus stop. The bus can only handle a certain amount of weight. This is the Bitcoin block size or block weight. And you got to think like only so many can fit on the bus. So you have to, if you really want to get in line now, you have to pay higher fees than the other people who are also trying to get on it. And so this is where your transaction fees, Good Wallet software will automatically calculate slow, medium, high priority transaction fees. If you're needed to be confirmed right away, you can pay a higher fee. If you need it just to be confirmed at some point, you can afford to pay a lower fee because the Bitcoin transaction fee market is a free market. And so these transaction fees are small amounts of Bitcoin that are basically tips paid to the miners. They consume electricity in the form of the proof of work in order to actually confirm these transactions. And because it's a limited size, the fee is used to get your transactions, incentivize the miners to include yours in the next block. Higher transaction fees are usually associated with higher priority transactions, whether it's speed needed or just size. Typically, those two things will go together. One thing that is controversial, and I would highly recommend you read this, is the block size wars. And people often ask, like, why is the Bitcoin block size so small? Couldn't we just fit more transactions in the network by doing this? And while that is true, remember that the leaner the blockchain, the more easily it is for an individual to run a node. And in order to be able to enforce your vote, your representation, you have to be able to do that. And so over time, in order to ensure that the network stays distributed, we need to keep the block size manageable. And so this network security depends on it, and it also gives miners an opportunity to turn a fee and transition over from the subsidy, which is what happens every 10 minutes, and from the Coinbase to the actual transaction fee model in the long run. So Bitcoin units are different denominations in which Bitcoin can be expressed. You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. Did you know? The smallest unit is called a Satoshi, and you might hear them commonly referred to as sats. Although it's not an officially widely held symbol or denomination, we as Bitcoiners are pushing towards this standard. Hopefully one day, rather than saying something calls, 0.00000025 Bitcoin, it'll be X amount of sats or Satoshis. And so Bitcoin can be broken down into many different decimals, 8 digits currently, and without diluting the whole. This is one of its innovations that is only really possible because of its digital nature. Next, we'll go into wallets. All right, thanks for sticking with so far. Just to recap, so far we went through transactions and the basics. And now we're going into wallets, section 3, chapter 7. What is a recovery phrase? So wallets are these software programs that allow you to send, store, and receive Bitcoin and track where they are on the ledger. They're all different types of wallets too. You've got desktop, mobile, hardware, software, paper, you name it, each with varying levels of security and convenience. A recovery phrase is sort of like that master key to the wallet. Think of it like a tree, and the addresses as leaves. And these addresses are single use or intended to be single use items for receiving Bitcoin and then spending it later. Using deterministic key generation, your wallet actually generates basically unlimited number of addresses tied to what's called a seed phrase or mnemonic phrase. And this is a sequence of 12, 18, commonly 24 words long that is generated when the wallet is first set up and is intended to be written down. And this is the backup, again, of your wallet. You shouldn't share it with anyone, as if you do so, that person could spend from your wallet. There are ways to enhance your security through things called multi-signature wallets, which we can get into in another video. But the idea is the most basic type of wallet is secured with a recovery mnemonic phrase. And in order to keep your wallet safe, you need to keep this mnemonic phrase safe. Final point is to keep in mind that Bitcoin aren't actually stored in that wallet. That's actually your key. Your mnemonic phrase is your key. And that is really what you need to access your funds. There's a lot of articles and even companies dedicated to helping users protect private keys, of which we'll talk about. All right, well, now that we've generated a wallet, one of the most important things is being able to recover it. Section 3, Chapter 8 goes over that in the Padawan app. So we just talked about that recovery phrase, which you're going to need. And that's that sequence of words. This is actually generated commonly through the BIP 39 standard, BIP standing for Bitcoin Improvement Proposal. There are others. This is the most commonly used today. And you'll go into the recover wallet option and enter the recovery phrase. Keep in mind, each word and the sequence, again, of the words does matter. The wallet's then going to find or rather regenerate the private keys that are associated with your wallet. And this is really, again, the power of it is because it's movable, it's transportable. So you don't have to be locked into a single software in order to use a wallet. So this not only puts pressure on developers to continue delivering good products, but gives users the option of choice. This also really is a privacy and security gain as well, and allows users to have full control. So make sure you're writing your recovery phrase down and hang around for the last chapter, Chapter 9, different types of wallets. And so we've been talking about creating wallets, the different type of addresses that they can generate, and the portable, compatible nature of wallets. This is because Bitcoin wallets are really just cryptographic keys that are secured really, really, really large numbers, essentially. And they come with different levels of trade-off and convenience, right? So we have hot wallets, which are more convenient to spend. That would be something that's like on this phone. A cold wallet would be the seed phrase, or the private key would not be on a internet connected device. These are the two, hot and cold, that are most commonly used. Cold for long-term, large amounts. Hot for short-term, smaller amounts. They're more vulnerable, hot wallets are, and so it's an idea that you don't want to keep large balances in internet device connected computers. There are also other types of wallets. There are lightning wallets. There's a whole different ecosystem we'll dive into in another video there. From the most basic, there's paper wallets. These are essentially words generated on a piece of paper. It's not something you print or you come up with yourself, but they're generated and written down on a piece of paper. And obviously that is the most basic level of security. But the contrast there is that if you lose a piece of paper and you don't have a backup, it's gone. Hardware wallets do that similar concept, but stored on a cryptographic key dedicated to storing this private key. Then you've got software wallets, which are like hot wallets, mobile wallets on your phone, custodial wallets, which are not what you want because not your keys, aka private keys, aka mnemonic phrase, not your coins. And so it's important to find a wallet that matches your usability, as well as one that matches the security needs for the size of Bitcoin that you're looking to protect. And so finding the wallet that's right for you is not just a once and done, because your experience will change and your needs may change, but it's an ongoing process. But it is important to find one that is right for you. That is why we've covered a few on this channel. All right, and last off, we're going to do a little test transaction. We've already got some Bitcoin in our wallet. This is Testnet Bitcoin again. We've got 74,000 sats here. So what we're going to do is hit this receive button, right? And then we're going to generate a new Bitcoin address. And again, these are typically used for single purposes. We're going to tap to copy. Again, you also have this QR code option. And then we're going to go back and hit send. Now I'm just sending to myself. So I'm going to paste that address in there. Now for this amount, I'm going to do, let's call it 42,000 sats. And for my fee, we'll just let's say let's call it 2 sats per byte, big spending. I'm going to testnet miners. And then here we'll confirm. Now we'll hit confirm and broadcast the transaction. And what you'll see is both a sending and receiving. I received to the wallet that I just sent from. And so we'll hit sync. And you can see the difference here. It's pending. And we can actually go and see this transaction ID on the testnet if we'd like to. And that's it for this tutorial on the Padawan Wallet app and the basics of using a Bitcoin wallet in the Bitcoin testnet. We covered how to get started with the Padawan wallet. You can download it from the Android App Store, the Play Store, how to send and receive Bitcoin, how to read the Bitcoin units and distinguish between the different denominations. I hope you found this tutorial helpful in your journey with Bitcoin. If you did, please consider subscribing and check out more tutorial videos, as well as Value Stack Podcast on the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great day.